Butter Battle Book by Dr. Seuss. Butter Battle Book by Dr. Seuss. On the last day of summer, 10 hours before fall, my grandfather took me out to the wall. For a while he stood silent, then he finally said, with a very sad shake of his very old head, "As you know, on the outside of this wall we are Yooks, and on the far other side of this wall live the Zooks." Then my grandfather said it's high time that you knew of the terribly horrible thing that Zooks do. In every Zook house, in every Zook town, every Zook eats his bread with the butter side down. But we Yooks, as you know, when we breakfast or sup, spread our bread, Grandpa said, with the butter side up. That's the right honest way, Grandpa gritted his teeth, so you can't trust a Zook who spreads bread underneath. Every Zook must be watched, he has kinks in his soul. That's why as a youth I made watching my goal. Watching Zooks for the Zook watching Border Patrol. In those days, of course, the wall wasn't so high, and I could look any Zook square in the eye. He dared...
You've been hiding back there.
Okay. Hi. Okay. In those days, of course, the wall wasn't so high, and I could look any Zook square in the eye. If he dared to come close, I could give him a twitch with my tough-tufted, prickly snickleberry switch. For a while that worked fine, all the Zooks stayed away, and our country was safe. And then one terrible day, a very rude Zook by the name of Vantage snuck up and slingshotted my snickberry switch. With my broken-off switch, with my head hung in shame, to the Chief Hickaroo in great sorrow I came. But our leader just smiled, he said, "You're not to blame. And the Zooks will be sorry they started this game. We'll dress you right up in a fancier suit, we'll give you a fancier slingshot to shoot." And then he ordered the boys in the back room to figure how to build me some sort of triple sling jigger. With my triple sling jigger, I felt much bigger. I marched to the wall with great vim and great vigor, right up to Vantage with my hand on the trigger. "I'll have no more nonsense," I said with a frown, "from Zooks who eat their bread with butter side down." Vantage looked quite sickly, he ran off quite quickly. I'm unhappy to say he came back the very next day, in a spiffy new suit with a big new machine. He snarled and he said, looking frightfully mean, "You may fling those rocks, you may fling those hard rocks with your triple sling jigger, but I also have my hand on a trigger. My wonderful weapon, the jigger rock snatcher, and we'll fling them right back, just as quick as we catch 'em. We'll have no more nonsense, we'll take no more gup. From Yooks who eat your bread with the butter side up." "I failed, sir," I sobbed as I made my report to the Chief Hickaroo in the headquarters fort. He just laughed. "You've done nothing at all of the sort. Our slingshots have failed. That's old-fashioned stuff. Slingshots, dear boy, are not modern enough. All we need is some newfangled kind of gun. My boys in the back room have already begun to think of a walloping whiz-zinger one. My bright boys are thinking they're on the right track. They'll think up a quick one and we'll send you right back." They thought up a great one, they certainly did. They thought up a gun called the Kickapoo Kid, which they loaded with powerful poo-a-doo powder, and ants' eggs and bees' legs and dried fried clam chowder. And they carefully trained a real smart dog named Daniel to serve as our country's first gun-toting spaniel. Then Daniel, the Kickapoo Spaniel, and I marched back toward the wall with our heads held up high, while everyone cheered and their cheers filled the sky. Fight for butter side up, do or die. Well, we didn't do, and we didn't quite die. But we sure did get worsted, poor Daniel and I. Vantage was there too, and he said, the old pig, "The boys in my back room invented this rig, called the 8-nozzled 8-elephant-toted boom blitz, and it shoots high explosive sour cherry stone pits. Now, and we'll put your Kickapoo kid on the fritz." For Daniel and I were scared out of our wits. Once more by Vantage, I was bested and beat. Once again I limped home and from the wall in defeat. I dragged and I sagged with my spirits below, as low as I thought they ever could go, when I heard a boom-ba and a diddle-dee-dee, and our butter-up band marched up over the hill. The Chief Hickaroo had sent them to meet me, along with the right side up song girls to greet me. They sang, "Oh, be faithful, believe in thy butter," and lifted my spirits right out of the gutter. My boy smiled at Chief Ikaru. We've just voted. We've made you a general. You've been promoted. Your pretty new uniform's ready. Get in it. The big war's coming, and you're going to begin it. And what's more, this time you are certain to win it. My boys in the back room have finally found how. Just wait till you see what they've puttered up now. In their great new machine, you'll fly over the wall and clobber those buttered down zooks once and all. The boys in the back room sure knew how to putter. They made me a thing called the Utterly Sputter. And I jumped aboard with my heart all aflutter, and I steered toward the land of the upside-down butter. This machine was so modern, so frightfully new. No one knew exactly just what it would do. But it had several faucets that sprinkled blue goo, which somehow would sprinkle the zooks that flew and gum up the upside-down butter they chew. I was racing pell-mell when I heard a voice yell, "If you sprinkle us zooks, you'll get sprinkled as well." Bandage had a sputter exactly like mine, and he yelled, "My blue gooer is working just fine. I'm here to say that if yooks can goo zooks, you better forget it, 'cause zooks can goo yooks." I flew back home, and as you might have guessed, I was downright despondent, disturbed, and depressed. And I saw just as soon as I stepped back on land, so were the girls of the Butter Up Band. The chief drum majorette, Ms. Yuki Ann Sue, said that was a pretty sour flight that you flew, and the Chief Ikaru has been looking for you. I raced to his office. The place was a sight. "Have no fear," said the chief. "Everything is all right. My bright backroom boys have been brighter than bright. They have thought up a gadget that's newer than new. It's filled with mysterious moo-lacka-moo, and can blow all those zooks clear to Salamagoo. They invented the Bitsy Big Boy Boomeroo. You just run to the wall like a nice little man, drop this bomb on the zooks just as fast as you can. I have ordered all yooks to stay safe underground while the Bitsy Big Boy Boomeroo is around." I raced for the wall with the bomb in my hand. I noticed that every last yook in our land was obeying the Chief Ikaru's grim command. They were all bravely marching with their banners aflutter and down a hole for their country and right side up butter. That's when Grandfather found me. He grabbed me. He said, "You should be down that hole, but you're up here instead. And perhaps this is for the better. Somehow, you'll see me make history right here, right now." Grandpa leapt up the wall with a lopulous leap, and he cleared his hoarse throat with a bopulous beat. He screamed, "Here's the end of that terrible town full of zooks who eat their bread with the butter side down." And at that very instant, he heard a clup-clup of feet on the wall, and the old bandage clumped up. The boys in his back room had made him one too. In his fist was another Big Boy Boomeroo. "I'll blow you," he said, "into pork and wee beans. I'll butter side up you to small smithereens." Grandpa shouted, "Oh, be careful, oh gee. Who's gonna drop it? Will you or will he?" "Be patient," said Grandpa. "We will see. We will see." The end. Alright, good night, girls. I love you.